Hi, I'm Dustin Grant. I'm part of a team producing a documentary on Jim's Car Wash in South Dallas. The documentary is a David versus Goliath story about how the city of Dallas has tried to seize it from the owner, Dale Davenport, for almost 20 years. Since 2001, the city has thrown everything in its arsenal at Dale. From eminent domain and random police raids to telling Dale's father, Freddie, to spray drug dealers with a water hose. A sitting Texas judge told a 73-year-old man to spray drug dealers with a water hose to get them off the car wash. There have been several other city-led attempts on the business. The one that finally stuck is the Chapter 125 nuisance laws. I say finally because it's not the first time the city of Dallas has tried to use these laws against Jim's Car Wash. In 2005, the 79th state legislative session brought Dallas city officials before the session and scolded them for abusing the Chapter 125 nuisance laws. Dale Davenport called 911 to report crimes at his business. The city sued him for not doing enough about crime. The city's lawsuit, which was such a blatant abuse of power that Texas amended the law to keep Dallas city officials from essentially shaking down other business owners. Now, this gives a little backstory on how I'm involved and why I think a WFAA Channel 8 news piece in November of 2019 did the public a great disservice. Now, I don't want to call this a hit piece. However, they definitely gave a very one-sided view of the story. This is the other side. The piece starts by introducing Dale Davenport. Dale owns Jim's Car Wash in South Dallas, an area known to have higher than average crime rates. Channel 8 spends 9 seconds covering a woman who was murdered at the car wash just before it was closed. That woman's name was Sheila Sanders, and she was a friend of Dale's for more than 20 years. Sheila and her husband Marshall actually met at the car wash. The story poses the question, does shutting down a property lead to less crime? Well, I guess the answer depends on how you look at it. The city wants you to believe that the car wash is the epicenter of crime for this area, but the crime maps show different facts. The WFAA story tries to make you think since the car wash closed, crime has gone down. The producer spoke to measuring a 500-foot radius around the car wash. 500 feet is barely a block, a terribly myopic view, and honestly too small to accurately measure anything. But since that's the view that they used, we'll stick with it. Channel 8 mentioned 11 reported crimes in the 4 months before the city shut down the car wash. The station did not return any of our requests for the information used, so we researched the parameters they cited and found strikingly different numbers. It appears WFAA only reported the 11 crimes that were at the exact address of the car wash. According to Mr. Davenport's 911 calls, which he had to sue the city of Dallas to get, at least 7 of the 11 crimes from this address were in fact reported by people that worked at the car wash. The Channel 8 reporter also mentioned all of the 11 crimes reported at the car wash were violent. The crime maps show only 1 was considered a violent crime. Not a good thing by any means, but facts matter when talking about people's lives. The fact is, WFAA didn't tell the whole story of that 500-foot radius. There were in fact 11 additional crimes reported in that 500 feet. Of those 11, 2 were reported as violent. Now, by the way, all of this is public information, so I encourage you to go look for yourself. The Channel 8 piece stated that there was only 1 reported crime in that 500-foot radius in the 4 months after the car wash closed. The statistics we found show more, 23 more. So in those 4 months after the car wash closed, crime stayed pretty much flat. They also neglected to tell you another very important detail. Right after the car wash closed, a large number of DPS officers, at the direction of the police chief, began patrol of the South Dallas corridor. In the weeks after the car wash closed, they wrote some 12,000 warnings and made almost 400 arrests in the surrounding areas. Now keep in mind, WFAA wrote about this at least 12 times in the time between when the car wash closed and the time they aired the broadcast. Let's talk a little bit about the Chapter 125 nuisance law. It's comprised of 3 main parts. The property must be the site of habitual criminal activity. The owner must knowingly tolerate crime, and the owner fails to make a reasonable attempt to reduce the crime. Now, according to the crime stats, in the instance of the car wash, the surrounding area has a higher than average crime rate. So is Jim's Car Wash to blame for the entirety of crime in all of South Dallas? If so, what about the car wash barely a mile away that's owned by a constable? The 500-foot surrounding the car wash owned by the constable saw 20 reported crimes in the 4 months before the car wash closed, 4 of those violent. Does that owner knowingly tolerate crime? Dale Davenport has been in a legal battle with the city of Dallas for most of his adult life. Now, part of that battle was for his 911 records. The reason this is important is that the city states that Mr. Davenport knowingly tolerates crime. He disagrees. His 911 records disagree. 414 pages of 911 records. Now, that's for only 18 months worth of calls. Does that sound like a business owner knowingly tolerating crime? When the city of Dallas first sued Dale in the early 2000s, city attorneys made a list of demands for the business: add lights, fences, no trespass signs, and removal of phone booths. He invited the police to install cameras, and most importantly, he was told to call the police. The other request the city had of Dale and Jim's Car Wash was to either hire off-duty police officers or security guards. Not just any security guards, however, guards from a very specific company, a company owned by a former Dallas City Councilman. When Dale decided to hire another security company, now one that the city of Dallas uses in other areas, he was told that they were not the right company. The city of Dallas has closed this business, a business that provided jobs for the people in the neighborhood, that helped keep the immediate surrounding areas of vacant lots clean, and that, according to the crime map, has helped keep crime at bay. The Channel 8 producer mentioned that Mr. Davenport is angry. Of course he's angry. He lost a 20-year friend in a horrific shooting. The city closed his business after a 20-year battle. For what? Crime has stayed flat since the car wash closed. Now, in today's age of echo chambers and hard battle lines, one can look at this story and believe whatever they want. The Channel 8 piece wanted you to think Dale Davenport and his car wash are the cause for crime in the South Dallas area. However, when you dig just below the surface, you see that the facts don't line up with the narrative. The important question is now, if the city of Dallas wants to take your business, can you really stop them?